down and you have more debt than you do for assets, what are some protections that a person can engage in?
Well, there's a couple things. Being proactive never hurts anyone. So one of the things to do, specifically if you want to keep your home, I always say the mortgage is probably the most important debt to take care of, because that's what puts the roof over your family's head. That's what gives you some security. And you go to the bank and take the proactive step. For example, if you have a high-interest mortgage right now, 6% or more, and 6% is really not a lot, but by today's standards, they're hovering right around now 5%. Go to the bank and ask them, could we work something out? I'm current right now, but you know, my interest rate is up here. Can we work it for a lesser amount, because I know I can make these, and here's what my scenario is. My husband, my wife lost their job, my partner lost their job. I've taken a reduction in pay. I've seen many come in, they haven't lost their jobs, but they're taking a 30% pay cut.
Right.
So when they took the mortgage to begin with, as Chris was stating earlier, they met the requirements. They could make those payments. Now, either due to increased interest rates or reductions in salaries, they can't meet them. So those who take the proactive stance are better off in getting a resolution, as opposed to those who come to you 6 months down the road once an action has been commenced and they're already in trouble.
Yeah, I think I would take it even one step further. You know, a lot of people get in over their head because they're trying to, you know, meet the needs of their family. You know, their kids, they need a car, so they're going into debt to do this. I think it all starts with planning, and this isn't about, you know, financial planning, but I think that's where it all starts. And I'm sure you'll do a show on financial planning and have a planner come in and help people with budgeting.
So tune in.
So tune in. So, you know, the bottom line is, you know, people generally aren't coming to us who aren't in trouble.
Right.
And these are people who were, you know, poor planners, or they suffered a setback, loss of a job, an illness. There's so many different things that we run into as we go through life. And a lot of times, though, if you are proactive when you get into a crisis situation and you call a credit card company and say, look, my wife just lost her job, or my husband is ill, they'll work with you. I mean, a lot of times they'll stop the interest. A lot of times they'll take just minimum payments. You'd be surprised if, you know, you pick up the phone and you get the right person on the other end. People, and especially in this economy, are willing to work with you. So yeah, don't ignore it. You don't want to ignore a delinquent payment. You don't want to ignore your inability to make those monthly payments. You want to deal with it. And you know, it's something, the longer you let go, the worse it gets.
I think that's good advice. I had a client, and the client came in, and I asked for documents, and they were sealed from 2 years ago. I didn't open this yet. I didn't open this yet.
I mean, they're bills you're
yeah,
referring to?
sealed in the envelope.
That's
because
a problem.
There's a difficulty with facing this. Have you found that? Have you found that people come in and, you know, it's just emotionally difficult for people to deal with these situations?
It's emotionally draining. It's very stressful, because you see what your money coming in weekly is, and you see that your bills that are coming in weekly are significantly more than what you're bringing home. And every time you open it, it's just, instead of being able to find a positive attitude and a way to be positive, it's just disheartening to many people now that you come in and you just can't handle it. The bills are mounting, the salaries aren't increasing to meet those, and you find yourself in a depression. So it's better not to be depressed, not to be stressed. So you know what? I'll take that bill, I'll set it over here, I'll open it next week, I'll open it tomorrow, and next week or tomorrow comes another bill, and you say, well, you know what, I'm not going to open that one, I'll wait until the weekend. And then pretty soon, by the time the end of the month comes, there's that whole pile that you've sat there, and you said, I'm going to open it tomorrow, I'm going to open it the next day, and now you've gotten behind, and now the new monthly bills are coming in for that month, and it just keeps happening, and it is very depressing, and it's what's making the economy depressing as well, and getting people in these situations that they just don't want to address it.
Now, we've learned that if you want to address it, you could visit with a law firm. You can try and be proactive. You could look and do some research on your own to find nonprofit organizations for help.
Yes.
But if there are people who are dealing with creditors who don't want to make any offers, aren't there new laws? Aren't there laws on the books now that can help some people as far as maybe a mortgage mediation or some different areas?
With mortgages now, there is some new legislation, and I think Susan's actually been involved to some degree with that. The mortgage companies are forced now to mediate under certain circumstances.
Yes, that's correct. There was a new law signed in now in New Jersey that anybody who's in mortgage foreclosure, so long as it's their primary residence. You know, we have a lot of investors.
Right.
If it's not your primary residence where you live and reside on a daily basis, you're not eligible for this particular program. but anybody who it is their primary residence at any point in the foreclosure process, whether it be when you first get the complaint, whether it be days before an actual sale is going off, you have the right to request mediation. And there's forms available if you call any of the local bar associations, if you call your attorney's office, even if you go online and would just put in New Jersey mediation worksheets or information, it's all right there. They ask for financial information, and then you submit it to the court, and they now have court-appointed mediators.
So for those of us who don't know what a mediator is and what that means, can you give us a little explanation?
Mediators in the foreclosure market are attorneys who've gone through a course, and what they do is they come in at the request of the borrower, and they sit down and they look at your financial documents. They look at the current state of your mortgage, the interest rate, how long the period is, the balance of the mortgage owed as compared to the fair market value of the house, and essentially they sit down and they talk to you and they talk to the bank. You're both sitting at a table, you as the borrower and the bank's representative, and they try to get you to work out a plan where you can make the payments and be reinstated in your mortgage for a particular period of time, or even going forward from this point.
Yeah, I think it's important too that that individuals take advantage of that earlier than later, because the later you are in the process, the larger the arrears are. The arrears being those payments that you haven't been made plus accumulated interest and penalties, late charges. So it's better to get it done early. As the economy at this point, it seems like it's getting progressively worse. The length of time between you not making that first mortgage payment and the time that they could actually take your house seems to be increasing. Where maybe a year or two ago it was 6 months to 8 months before you stop making the payment and they actually have a sheriff's sale. The sheriff's sale being when they complete the foreclosure process and they actually sell the house at a sale. It's now closer to a year. And I'm seeing more people staying in their houses for longer periods of time, which gives you more time to work with it. But you have to understand, just because you have more time, it doesn't mean that the arrearages are going to go away or the penalties are going to go away. If you start that process of trying to work with them early on, you're much better off, and it's a smaller nut to really deal with.
How many people who come into the office, and this question is for both of you, have the opportunity to take advantage of these laws? I mean, you said that primary residence is necessary for mediation, but what other contingencies are there? What are the restrictions besides that? Does it matter how much your house is worth? Does it matter if it's a condo as opposed to regular homestead?
Yeah, I mean, there is some provisions, and I'm not as well versed as Susan, but it's my understanding that there is an actual formula that they use. If there's I think no equity, or as we said before, the house, if it's upside down, generally they're not going to be able to do anything for you,
right.
Because the value